Hello everyone, my name is Loco and welcome to a best of 7 series of top level StarCraft 2. What I've got for you today is a Terran versus Zerg. We're in game number 1. In the top left hand corner, we're looking inside of the main base of Bion and his opponent. All the way in the opposite end of the map, we have none other than SHIN. A good old Terran versus Zerg featuring Bion and a Korean opponent. So what do we do at the very start of the game? Of course, we begin our conversations. That's what we do. That's what Bion likes to do. Bion is a big fan of using a StarCraft 2 pro match as an opportunity to have a nice little social exchange. Anyways, this particular series is a best of 7 organized by the Supers 7s. Actually, a very fun tournament format where basically they just invite 2 pro gamers and then they have them play a best of 7 against one another. It's very nice. Generally speaking, it's some of the very best players in the world, and I did cast quite a few of these series already, and every single time it's been a really fun time because usually, because they're playing a best of 7 and the pro gamers know each other quite well, they end up cheesing constantly. I've had 1 or 2. Specifically, I think this was featuring Classic, where Classic decided to play the macro game every time, but more often than not, in this particular format, the players do get rather cheesy. Only time will tell if that's going to be the case as well in this particular one. That being said, I believe actually the Super 7s, they sent me a message that, hey, here's the replay pack. Also, we're probably not doing this anymore until a further notice. So, I don't know if this is going to be the last time I get to cover this particular event, but shout out to the tournament organizers for sending me quite a few games over the last half year or so. And then apparently suddenly saying that we're no longer doing them. Anyways, I believe they're actually Korean tournament organizers. So the communication through Discord is only a couple of words here and there. It's like, hey, replays. That's it. I'm like, oh, this is great. those are, as a Dutchman, I've really preferred a direct communication style. But yeah, they did mention that maybe, I think they basically said it's going to be suspended until like a further notice. So maybe at some point they will. Yeah, we'll get more of it. Either way, for now, it's going to be a double barrack start here for Bion. Second gas guys are coming up inside of the main base too. Triple hatchery beginning for SHIN. So he will be building up his own economy too, but this is one of those builds that Terran players like to do when they enjoy being a bit of a bully. And obviously Bion, he is the man that, well, pretty much single-handedly got the Reaper nerfed twice. He was too good at microing the Reaper. Nobody knew how to counter it. You know what? There we go. One little drone kill. SHIN didn't actually have the minerals there to morph in a spore crawler to save that drone. A little bit unlucky for him. Does mean that he pays the price. Now, I highly doubt that we're going to be seeing a second worker kill, but, you know, if he gets one, that would be amazing. Zergling speed, though, is ticking away, and getting that upgrade done is absolutely massive. There's already a creep tumor inside of the main base, too, now, connecting the main and the natural, so SHIN can maneuver those units around quite easily. It's a lot of Zerglings, by the way, for SHIN. Honestly, this is too many Zerglings if you just want to deal with 3 Reapers. And Bion has seen it right now. Look at him running away. He knows the exact build order that he's playing against. And even though he doesn't know that Zergling speed is done, he has played against this particular opener many times before. And he should be able to make it home just barely in time. Please lift the... Okay, perfect. That was a little tighter than it needed to be, if I'm being honest with you, Bion, but I guess it works out. All right, Stimpack is going to be next. Obviously, the idea behind this is that, yeah, if you can surround the Reapers, you can probably get the tech lab kill on the back of it too. And then obviously, if you have the tech lab killed, then all of the Terran strategy falls apart. Because without Stimpack, you can't really do anything. Like, everything that Terran gets to do after that is going to be delayed. Now, SHIN did overmake Zerglings because of it. He did also lose an Overlord just now to get full vision of the main base. Interestingly enough, it is a Banshee follow-up. Generally, we don't see a Reaper opener like this start off with, well, Banshees then on the back of it too. Usually when you go into the quick marine production, you also put a reactor on your starport to begin the double medevac, which is obviously something that Zerg players are well aware of, and therefore sometimes they will skip the spore crawlers that are necessary against these units in particular. So even though the Banshee is going to be very late in comparison to a normal triple command center Banshee opener, because it's so late, a lot of Zerg players assume that it's no longer an option, and therefore it once more becomes an option. This is what happens at a high level. Players get so good at the game that they assume everybody's good at the game, and that making suboptimal decisions is not what we're going to see. Well, Spore Crawlers are coming up at the perfect timing here for Shin. He's still droning very greedily, because obviously he has... Well, he scouted with an Overlord roughly what's going on. He sees a tech lab over here, and he now knows that if you are not building medevacs... So there is a medevac group coming up right now, but if you go for Banshees first instead, you are not going to be able to really move across the map with the Marines as easily, so he's droning super greedily. Like, we're already coming up with, well, over 60 workers just 5.5 minutes into the game. He's probably thinking about a 4th hatchery here. I would not be surprised to see one of those. The main question is, can he hold that first big attack from the Terran? So, Zergling production has begun. Lair is coming up. Baneling Nest is also, well, almost finished. Slow Banelings, though, not generally that great against somebody like ByuN. Yeah, he was thinking about the 4th hatch. Delayed it a little bit on purpose. Sees the move out right now of the Terran player, and he thinks, well, he really should be thinking better of it. Shit, this would make no sense. If we're making a hatchery right now after losing the queens, mate, don't, no. Shin! Yo, somebody poke Shin on the shoulder. Shin, what are we doing? You just scouted it perfectly. Well, that's one way, I guess, of dealing with it. Yeah, he just lost. This is very... very out of character. I think it's sometimes easy to forget how vulnerable the early game in StarCraft 2 truly is. In general, everything is incredibly flimsy, especially at a high level, because, well, the way that Zergs work, obviously, is they try to make as many workers as they can before ultimately making some form of army. And even though I thought Shin had all the information, I think he did, he made a series of... What are we doing, ByuN? He made a series of bad decisions there that immediately ended the game. So, ByuN's thinking, what about more Reapers? Yeah, in the previous game we made some Reapers. How about we make more than just some? How about we make 20? How about we make 30? Okay, now I don't know how many he's gonna produce here. I'm gonna guess... let's come up with a number. I'm thinking 8. 8 Reapers is gonna hit very hard, and obviously one of those barracks being out in the middle of the map also means that the reinforcements will arrive a couple seconds earlier. Unlucky beginning there in that previous game, though, for Shin, because he had all of the tools to deal with it, but then he just didn't make the units. Like, it's a little bit funky. Like, starting up the 4th hatchery, he saw the army coming in and then moved his queens out of position. Not ideal whatsoever. Okay, well, it's gonna be Reapers for now. 2 Reapers coming up. 3rd Reaper will also begin over here now that the extra supply depot is done in the natural expansion, and the dance can begin. I hope you're wearing your dancing shoes, Shin. I'm personally wearing my tutu as I'm casting this. I think I look fabulous in it. I've never worn a tutu before, actually. No. Believe it or not, and this may come as a big surprise, but I can't. No, I'm not a dancer. I know. Big surprise. I know when you look at me, you're like, wow, that man can really dance. Wow. He can, that's what you think, right? But no, I hate to disappoint you all. Anyways, the Reaper dance with the queens, though, has begun. And obviously, ByuN is gonna micro these units very rapidly. They do have that out-of-combat regen, meaning that the Reapers, they do regenerate very quickly. Kind of like Mutalisks do. And we're already coming up on 8. I think we're gonna make quite a few more. Yeah, because until link speed is done, and this is the big problem here for Shin, Shin doesn't even have Zergling speed started until just now. He can be bullied very easily. Those queens can obviously get, well, energy to regen. So transfuses are available. Were available. I think this one, yeah, does barely have enough. But the Reapers can keep this fight up for a really long time. Nice transfusion there for Shin. But who will win the dance? Well, so far, ByuN's looking pretty dangerous. Gets 1 queen. Gets 2 queens. Gets 3 queens, 1 Reaper. I think the 4th queen may also die. Yep, there we go. Ay, 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 ay. Love the Reaper grenade there on the ramp. Without link speed, you can't defend this. In the meantime, look at the production tab. 2 command centers. ByuN is absolutely bullying his opponent so far in this series. Okay, well, he's overstaying his welcome, so I think these Reapers will get surrounded and ultimately will die. The timing here of link speed is a little bit funky. But obviously, when you're making this many Zerglings, you're not making drones, right? So, yeah, the worker count is still looking decent, I suppose, here for SHIN. The problem is, look at this. Third command center is finishing up before a third hatchery has started. Okay, so SHIN has decided to try and grab an advantage in another way. He decides to go for a lair, get that tech lead. Looks like the Stimpack will be saved for now. And this is obviously, I mean, he could have even saved the Reapers, but obviously this is a phenomenal start right here for ByuN. Can't really hope for a lot better. Roach Warren coming up though for the Zerg. We have a little bit of vision out on the mini-map here for SHIN as well, so SHIN is trying to get at least tabs out on any Hellions that might be driving in, but we're not going to see any Hellions. That third barracks, by the way, where did it go? Oh. This must have been the one right over here. He decided to fly it back home and build a reactor next to it so we can really pump up the marine production. I love the bunker here as well. There's always a chance that Zerg decides to go for like a baneling bust on the back of this. So you have to take some precautions, but obviously when you salvage a bunker, you get the majority of the resources back as well. This is technically a little risky here for ByuN. If this was indeed a big attack from the Zerg, losing those marines would probably be the end of the game. But ByuN is feeling like that is not going to be the case, and indeed he is right. We've got Roach Speed coming up together with the +1 armor. I like these units in general, especially when Zerg is in a comfortable spot. I feel like when you're playing them defensively from behind, though, it gets very, very finicky. ByuN will be more than happy to continue cruising, right? So he's already going into an armory right now. Double upgrades in the engineering bay, already finishing up. Incredible advantage in the upgrade department here for ByuN. He's going to hit a big power spike. And as soon as medevacs are out, so I think we're going to see 2 of them start here in just a moment, he will be practically untouchable if he wants to start harassing. Like, there's really not a whole lot here that SHIN can do. Keep in mind that SHIN lost those 4 queens. He does have 4 queens available again at home right now, but you're supposed to have quite a few more. SHIN has decided to cut that corner in favor of additional drone and unit production. Yeah, this is the plan here for the Zerg. So we're trying to counter the big aggressive push in the early game with a big aggressive push of our own a little bit later on. Now that marine count is looking mighty spicy though. It's gonna get +10 HP as well from the combat shields right now. Suddenly it appeared. You'll have to see it. And 2-2 has already begun. There's no way. I don't believe that this army for the Zerg, I mean, if Terran is in the right spot, I don't believe it's going to be able to achieve much of anything. Well, that being said, though, SHIN does have a massive army, and ByuN is currently very disjointed. So if SHIN can jump on all of those units at the same time, that would be big. Marines, though, stim up towards the ramp. They decide to target down at least 2 of the, the 5 or so Ravagers here. New Ravagers coming up. SCVs are being sacrificed. ByuN really doesn't need a lot of workers, although losing 14 is quite painful. A siege tank now also available, which I absolutely love. He did salvage the bunker. There is, by the way, a third base here on the low ground. SHIN has seen it, but SHIN is not thinking about dealing damage anymore. SHIN is thinking about the win. This is a all-in from the Zerg player with not really a lot of backup. So as long as ByuN defends, even if it's just a, well, very close defense, he is still going to be A-okay. Yep, Ravagers are getting targeted. And despite losing 23 workers, ByuN is still only 4 SCVs behind, and obviously mules will make up more than enough. This I really like, though. I think if SHIN moves to the left here, takes down all of the workers on this base, maybe the game becomes playable again. This, however, is almost like a giant doomsday clock. Every Marine getting +1 additional damage and +1 additional armor is huge. Against Roaches and Ravagers with only +1 armor, those Marines are gonna destroy. Okay, ByuN decides to evacuate the workers on out of there. Lifts up the command center as well. He loses a bunch of supply depots over here. And you know what? Maybe this is still playable here for SHIN. But SHIN is just making non-stop army. That's the only thing he's doing. I think if ByuN plays this carefully, Wait until 2-2 is done, which is exactly what he's doing. He should be okay. 3 siege tanks available, though. Let's see how this goes. If the corrosive balls of the Zerg player can land on top of the siege tanks, maybe it's still possible, and that's exactly where these roaches are trying to go. Marines, though, are, well, making it difficult for the Zerg player to close the distance. We do get another nice set of balls there on one of the tanks. 2 of them have fallen, but despite being 20 supply up, Shin just really doesn't have enough stuff. Alrighty, next up, we find ourselves on the map Tokamak. Valiant effort so far from Shin, but so far, he's getting clowned on. Yeah, I think that's fair to say. Now, Bion, of course, went to the same school as Hero when he learned how to make wall-offs. How are we regressing? Seriously. How are we regressing with walling off in StarCraft 2? Seriously, what is this? This is absolutely terrible positioning on that barracks. I don't get it. Anyways, players just don't seem to care anymore about wall-offs. It's like we learned how to play the game, like we learned all of the rules, and then we decided, no, don't care. So there's obviously space over here next to this barracks where Zerglings can run in. Man, I feel like I casted a game very similar to this not that long ago. I don't believe there's space over here at the front to complete the wall off, so he's gonna have to put a depot over here behind it now. Seriously though, why are players getting worse at walling off? I know it's not that big of a deal, but it's early game. Like, we can do whatever we like. Anyway, Shin has decided to now go for a really fast Roach Warren. So this is about a 325 Roach Warren. He's going for a second gas as well. He's already resaturated the one in the main base, and he never started up Zergling speed. Interestingly enough, this is one of those builds where Mass Reaper would actually be really good. Not the case this time around though from the Terran player. He's a merciful god. We do have a very quick evolution chamber too. Is this just for safety, Shin? No way. If it's not just for safety though, then why are we making a evo chamber? He's droning still. What is this opener here for Shin? Normally when we do see roaches like this, it is meant for aggression. Now, look at the timing of Stimpek. ByuN is already finishing it up very, very soon. If roaches do go across the map, I think Shin is just gonna get dumpstered again. This has not been a good series for Shin so far. Like, he's basically gonna run headlong into, like, the most important upgrade. Okay, he is gonna get vision. He had vision in game number 1 and decided to double down anyway, but we really should not be okay, perfect. We really should not be moving off creep. Stay there, good. Yeah, if you meet this Terran army in the middle of the map, those roaches are just going to die. Not really that many Marines. Strange opener as well, by the way, from ByuN here. Yeah. I feel like for Terran, it doesn't matter as much. Plenty of roaches now, though. When they're all firing at the same time and they're in position, they can get quite a bit of work done. ByuN, by the way, so far, third game in a Zerg versus Terran, has not made a single Hellion yet. Normally, that's a core unit for Terran players early. ByuN apparently does not like cars. He's not a car guy. I'm not really a car guy myself either, and we can tell that ByuN isn't. I mean, I'm pretty sure most of the Korean pro gamers live in Seoul. Don't think you have a lot of use for a car when you live in Seoul. Shin, interestingly enough though, just completely skipping Zergling speed. He's just gone straight into Roach speed and then also the +1 armor. Yeah, ByuN's very much so a private jet kind of guy. More so than a car kind of guy. Yeah. Do siege tanks count as cars? I don't know. Maybe. Anyways, additional barracks coming up. Third command center here, relatively late for ByuN standards. This entire early game, actually, from ByuN is very cursed. Like, I was focusing on Shin's early game, Primarily because it really looked that Shin wanted to go for a push, and then he decided not to do it when he saw the Marines moving out. But this entire early game here from ByuN also seems very weird. The problem is, right, when you don't make Hellions, you're basically saying to the Zerg to just spread creep wherever they like. Now, he got a creep tumor kill over here, but obviously those Marines are much later than Hellions would be roaming the map, and they can't be everywhere at once. So already, I would love to see the creep moving forward a little bit more. Already, though, yeah, the tumor's now, again, coming off of cooldown. Already the creep is, well, connecting all of the bases here that Shin has. Shin will see the timing of the third command center. He now notices for sure that this is not a orbital command yet. Normally the third command center would already be done quite a while ago, and it's going to slow down ByuN's game a ton. Hive in the meantime coming up nice and quickly here for Shin. I think the idea, yeah, is to go Zergling speed, Baneling speed, and then probably Ultralisks. So even though we started off with a Roach Rush, we now use those Roaches defensively, and with the fourth hatchery coming up, we're gonna make a transition to full Ultraling Bane, and then a couple Infestors for support. This is that very modern approach that we've seen a lot from Zerg players over the last few months. Okay. Roaches here trying to catch a couple of those Marines. Not really achieving all too much. So what exactly does ByuN create for himself here, right? When we think about the different advantages that you can have in a game of StarCraft 2, he doesn't really have an upgrade advantage. He doesn't really have an eco advantage. He doesn't really have an army advantage. I mean, all of it is acceptable. None of it is the end of the world. Is this the timing attack we're aiming for? Shin has been able to do whatever he likes for the most part. Now, I do think, though, for Shin, reading this game right now does get really weird. Because how do you realize exactly what it is the Terran's going for? I don't even think he knows about this move out, and this could bite him in the butt. Oh god, Shin's still playing with the Diva announcer pack. We're all out of minerals, but there's plenty of rocks! Sure, Shin. Fungals, though. Fungals are an opportunity here, but he scans and he sees the Infestors. Looks like the base over here ended up getting cancelled as well, and the drone tries to get away. Probably won't achieve that job. ByuN, though, moves in now for a choke on the third. I mean, that fungal growth will be more than okay for ByuN. Loses a few units, but Ultra Cavern coming up, +1 melee finishing up, +2 armor finishing up as well here for Shin. But ByuN has carved a beautiful position on this map. Is there enough for the Zerg? I don't think so. As weird as this build is, okay, here we go. Baneling speed does finish up. Can he roll his way to the Marines, though? Not quite the case. We do get some good corrosive biles in general on some of the tanks, but the majority of them still stays alive. Yo, as weird as this build is from ByuN, he is making it work perfectly. Effectively, this is like the StarCraft 2 equivalent of a curveball, you know? Like, he is playing a bit of an uncommon style. Technically, maybe not optimal, but it's extremely difficult for the opponent to read. And Shin right there was busy chasing 2 medevacs when the entirety of the Terran army was moving out. He had no clue that this army was going to be moving across the map at this point in time. Still though, Ultras are going to be an opportunity here in a moment for Shin. Chitinous plating is started up. And obviously this is a Terran army that is stuck on Marine Marauder, medevac, siege tank. So it's not really a Terran army to write home about. Command center for ByuN. All the way over at the bottom of the map, far away from the Zerg. He is building a 4th base right after the Zerg has resaturated a 4th base as well. A little bit of multitasking. Let's see. I think you scan over here too, man. Get rid of some of the creep tumors in this area. Do we have a Ghost Academy yet? We do not. Then again, though, this is Ultralisks, right? And I think we all know that Ultras are a questionable unit. Fungal, though, can really make them a whole lot better if he can prevent the Terran army from running. But I think ByuN is the type of guy that looks at that and sees it as a challenge. Rather than feeling like he's forced to switch into, for example, Ghosts or Liberators or whatever. He's like, no, I'll just try to out-micro you. That fungal was decent, but no follow-up in this area. Banelings can't really close the distance. Marauders also mostly in the front. There's another nice fungal growth, but what is it really going to do? Well, the corrosive biles make it a whole lot better. Still, though, ByuN is creating another choke on another base. Don't believe there's enough for him to kill this expansion just yet, but he might be coming back home here in just a moment for something that can actually kill the hedge. Okay. ByuN decides to not be a stubborn Terran player, as he does begin a Ghost Academy as well as 3 command centers. ByuN's like, snap, I have minerals. Quick, command centers, go! 3-3. Also begun right now for the Terran player. SHIN's still a bit of a punching bag, but he might be able to navigate his way out of this. I really do like the addition of the Widow Mines here, though. Let's see. Cool. Yeah, whenever we go off creep, those ultras are just not gonna do much. Look at him. He can't keep doing this. There's no way. Ultras at some point will be able to make their way to the front. Right? Oh my god. Oh my god. No! It hurts me a little bit sometimes how ultras just get absolutely destroyed by Marines. Ugh. How many ultras is that? 5 ultras down the drain. I mean, honestly, not even the worst traits right there for SHIN. That's the interesting part about it. But if you just don't have a fungal to keep that army from, well, running away, the Terran can just kite their ass off. And that's exactly the style that ByuN loves to go for. Okay. Planetary Fortress coming up. This is, however, a 5th base. Here's that army back for more. He kills the expansion up north. This planetary, though, that we were looking at as another ultra gets sniped. He's aiming for one more. Don't do it, ByuN. Don't hurt my feelings. ByuN! Ay, he kills another one. And a couple roaches to boot. He's actually scaring this army away. They're on, like, same upgrades, right? Like, there's not really much of a difference. In the meantime, there's a giant fight happening as well on the right. Fungal growth does go down and makes it impossible for this entire Terran army to slip away. There weren't enough medevacs for it anyways, but... Dirty. Next up, we find ourselves on Maganatha. This time around, ByuN decides to mix it up and go for a command center really quickly. Completely scoutless, command center first, Marine as the very first unit out of the barracks. We do go double Marine at the very least, not straight reactor, but still a little bit greedy here for the Terran. But you know what? He has some wiggle room now. He's 3-0 ahead against SHIN, and so far, he is clowning all over this Zerg. I've been very impressed, by the way, by SHIN lately. I mean, that first game, that was rough. I think SHIN played really well until he didn't. You know, like a series of bad decisions made him lose the 4th base. I mean, he started up the 4th base when he really shouldn't have. That was kind of messy. I feel like across the board, though, he's playing pretty good. Especially lately. I feel like in general, SHIN has been very, very strong. But so far in this particular series, ByuN is getting the better of him. And he's doing it with a wide variety of strategies too. ByuN has not played the same strategy twice in a row, or twice in general in this particular game, or in this particular series. In the first game, he went for a double Rex opener. In the second game, a triple Rex Massa Reaper opener. In the third game, a very strange Hellion-less, very late 3rd command center, just straight Marine opener. And now we go command center first, triple CC actually, with a quick 1-1-1. And would you look at that? We have some Hellions on the production tab right now. Now, Maganatha is a huge map. There is a ton of expansions available. So at the very least, that's gonna make, well, hopefully, at least for SHIN, his life a little bit better. Because if he wants to get up towards Ultras, which seems to be his general goal right now, this would be the place to go ahead and do so. Evolution Chamber coming up together with a Roach Warren again. And just like in the previous game, SHIN has decided to skip out on the Zergling speed for now. So I am assuming we're just gonna go straight into roaches again and just try to lean on them to build up our economy. So this is a very normal build here from SHIN, or sorry, from ByuN, but then like the most greedy variant of it. So it's Hellion, Benchy, triple CC, but then obviously with some very fast command centers. And against really any kind of early game aggression, like aggression that would hit before this point, SHIN would be in a world of trouble. Or ByuN rather would be in a world of trouble. You get what I'm trying to say. Anyways, third CC already landing on down towards the low ground. This is like a good 3 minutes earlier than the third command center in the previous game. So ByuN's eco is already booming. Not really aiming for eco damage though on the other side of the map. This is what we're trying to do. Yep. ByuN can't really fight his opponent very well, but he can harass his opponent, you know? This is like the Chihuahua of the Terran. Makes a lot of noise. Thinks it's very intimidating. Maybe technically could do some damage, but realistically, it's just to scare you a bit. 7 overlords coming up though. SHIN properly terrified. Okay, it counts as a couple. Fair enough. Overseer coming. Roach speed here as well. And I'm assuming we're gonna go into... Ooh, double Overseer. Okay, 1 for scouting, 1 for base defense. Okay, fair. I'm assuming we're gonna go, yeah, second Evo chamber, and then once more into relatively quick Ultralisks. It's not a bad idea. It's just technically relatively straightforward to counter. Now, we see this all the time from Zerg players as of late, right? Where they go for this, like, late game rush. They go straight into Ultras with Infestors, and they just try to survive until that point. They want to go for as many drones as possible while not dying in the process. This time around, SHIN does go +1 missile, so maybe we'll see a Hydra then? I'm not sure. Or maybe he's afraid of an 8 Rex here from ByuN. Technically against 8 Rex, this is kind of nice. A lot of Terran players have been fond of 8 Rexes lately, but this time around it's going to be a second factory, and I'm assuming therefore that we'll also see a 4th command center in a moment. So it shouldn't be a quick 8 Rex. Armory at the correct time. 2-2 is going to be lined up nicely here for ByuN. A single Infestor. There's indeed the Hive again. So Hive is already like a quarter of the way done before 7 minutes. It's a very quick Hive. Yeah, this is gonna be like a 720 Hive. Circling speed on the back of it, +1 missile, and then the +2 carapace. So the carapace upgrade starts up early, mostly because it's the most important upgrade for Ultralisks. So when you see a single Evo chamber as a Terran player right now in the current meta, it basically, like, you can see it at like minute 4. It basically means that like your opponent in like 5-6 minutes from then wants to go into Ultras. Like, it's the easiest scout of your life. Now the thing is, as we've learned, you don't really need to prepare so much for Ultras. Like, technically Terran has really good answers against Ultras. Liberators and Ghosts primarily. But Marines do just fine. Marines seem to do okay. So there it is. Ultralisk Cavern is coming up. Bailing speed about halfway done. Now this is by far though the most unharmed that SHIN has been at this phase in the game so far throughout this series. Like, he's lost some creep, sure, but he's basically lost nothing else. Good fungal. Good fungal. I love it. Okay. And now suddenly, the tables might be able to turn. I mean, this is as good a start as SHIN is ever going to get against ByuN. He needed to get a little bit lucky there with that fungal, but he got exactly what he came for, right? We're going to continue the aggression. Ultras right now on the back of this. I really don't think we need to over-push. Yeah, maybe fight without some of the siege tanks. I mean, he might be able to just push through this, to be honest. Banshees, though, are coming home. Yeah, and those are the Banshees from the early game. The ones that didn't really deal a lot of damage earlier on, but they're very good at keeping this Zerg player busy. Planetary Fortress coming up. 5th command center also building. An expensive set of losses right there, though, for SHIN. But he did kill a bunch of siege tanks, too. Medevac drop gets spotted here by the Zerg player from Korea as well, so he sees exactly what's up. Chitin is plating. About, well, 3/4 of the way done. Around the same time as 2-2. Let's see how this initial wave of Ultra Infestor, Lingbane, Roach Ravager is going to fare. Because this is a scary opportunity. Fungal? 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 Ooh, that's hot. Fungal? Do it again. Yep. ByuN decided to take a little nap in the middle of the map. And that should never really be allowed. Now, what about this push over here? First Ultra. Dude, why are Ultras so bad? Seriously. We've been building up to this unit the entire game long, and they just get decimated by a unit that isn't really even meant to counter them. SHIN might still be having the numbers, though. Actually, the Widowmine there dealing enough friendly fire to kill the siege tank. Yeah, and ultimately the amount of Ultras here is still something that takes a lot of attention. So it takes a lot of effort for the Terran player to try and deal with it using these types of units. SHIN is certainly still in a wonderful position here, because the idea is, of course, that, yeah, these trades are rough. Never is it going to be cost effective, but he should be able to get the, well, just the economy. Another big fungal here. He's got 89 drones. He can replace this type of army over and over and over again. And even though the individual traits are never going to be that great, lovely split there, he can very likely just open the floodgates and just send in, well, more Zerglings. At least that's the idea. More Ultras, more Zerglings, more Roaches. ByuN, though, doing his best to try and hold on. It's interesting. Like, Ultras are simultaneously, like, the worst unit you can make, but then also they seem to be on the brink of being overpowered, if that makes any sense. Like, it's so silly, but the unit really is, when it fights, it's good. It just struggles getting into the fight. Those Widowmines are putting in so much freaking work. Ooh, good splitty there as well. Did you see that, SHIN? For so much friendly fire there out of that Widowmine from ByuN, purposely flying the Overseer that it was, well, latching onto, on top of all of those medevacs and the units underneath, and it forces it to deal so much friendly fire. So far, those, I think the Widowmines have done more friendly fire in the game than they have actual damage to the Zerg. Yeah, there's no way. There is no way. This is looking like a SHIN victory. ByuN decided to leave him alone ever since the start of the game, and this is what happens after you take like 6 consecutive fungals to the face. Okay, next up, we find ourselves on the map Torches. SHIN opting to go for a fast spawning pool this time around, and sends the Lings out before the Reaper can intercept it. Not bad. It's gonna lose, no, nothing. Maybe? ByuN might actually be losing the Reaper. Gonna be annoying for him. He now sees, though, the timing of the pool, and that might be all the information that that Reaper really needs. Already, though, Zerglings have run across the map, and SCVs are pulled away from their station. Command center on the low ground has to be halted for a little bit. Eventually, I think the Terran's gonna be able to push this away. Nicely done here, though, by SHIN. At the very least, successfully disrupting the Terran player. A lot of lost mining time, of course, as well. So, yeah, not a bad start right there for SHIN whatsoever. Keeping one Zergling alive as well. Okay. Yeah, I find Zerg in general to be in a bit of a funky spot. Like, early game Zerg is kind of iffy. There's not really a lot of variety. I think that's honestly my main gripe. I think most of the Zerg strategies just seem to be a little bit too narrow. Like, everything is like, well, you've got one shot because the early game is kind of terrible. And now it seems like a lot of Zerg players have decided that the mid game is also kind of terrible. And then the ultra late game is also kind of terrible. So they're just kind of looking for these like in-between opportunities. And it seems like rushing up towards late game and then having like a 90 worker economy, if you manage to just walk that very thin line perfectly, then you can overwhelm the Terran player in a macro game. But it feels very flimsy. And I feel like it's one of those builds as well that Terrans can counter reliably more often than what we see right now. Because like I said, all you really need to see is the evolution chamber. Ooh, it's a spire here for Shin. If you see the evolution chamber at like minute 4, I feel like this is already enough information to potentially just start adding on a couple more units. Like, you could already put down at the very least a Ghost Academy. Ghost Academy is not that expensive. Just as like a potential precaution. Like, you just make it a little earlier, and then if you need to, you could make a few ghosts, and you're gonna be much easier against Ultras. Anyways, this is now a 2-base opener here for the Zerg. And ByuN has seen it. He doesn't know about the base over here though, so I guess that's the story that Shin is trying to sell. Ooh. Hellion just barely doesn't see it, and that means that these mutas are going to be very likely unscouted. Okay. Yeah, so one thing that changed about the Ultra in the most recent patch was reduce its movement speed off creep. So it now, again, just like it used to in the past, it has the same movement speed as Marine Marauder. Which I honestly strongly disagree with. I think, like, even though it's like the one pretty decent strategy that Zerg players have, I still think it's kind of silly. Like, in general... In general, I feel like Marines are just a little bit too well-rounded, I suppose. And for them to then also be able to kill, like, the ultimate tier 3 melee unit for Zerg pretty reliably just feels a little rough. Anyways, it's delicate, though. All of the balance in StarCraft 2 is very, very delicate. Oh, no. Shin actually rushed up towards a, pretty good group of mutas. ByuN right now thinking about moving out. If he moves out right now, though, and gets surrounded, he's in a world of trouble. ByuN's gonna see that this wasn't actually a fast base over here on the right after all. So he should be able to put 1 and 1 together. Now, where are those mutas? Shin hoping that maybe he can intercept this medevac drop, and he can, but you know what? He should have mined out those mineral fields now, because ByuN saves them easily. Nice thinking here by ByuN, knowing that the mutas alone aren't going to be able to kill the Marines, and, well, if he fights in this section of the map, obviously... the Marines are not going to be attacked by the Zerglings. In the meantime, now there is a little counterattack. Missile turrets were started up. What about the fight over here inside of the main base? Looks like Shin is also surrounding that one very, very nicely. Okay. 1-1 just about to finish up together with combat shields for the Marines. Gonna make them way better in these type of fights. Good kill right there on the siege tank. Okay, yeah. I feel like he's losing a few too many mutas now for my liking. Oh no. Oh, you army outkeep them. Or maybe like control crew. Okay. There's new mutas spawning, and I think he accidentally put them on one control group and moved them over here. Luckily, he didn't notice it, because that would have been the end for these mutas as well. Okay. Medevac drop. Moving on over towards the top right-hand corner again. It looks like maybe they were indeed not seen by the Zerg player. 1-1 upgrades here very late for Shin. Using the additional gas on the muta production instead. Second factory coming up for ByuN. Fourth command center also starts up. Barracks 6 and 7. No, it's actually 4 and 5. These are pretty dang late, man. He hits a supply block as well. Drops the supply depot out of the high heavens. Okay. Yeah, and Shin is in a reasonably comfortable position, but he doesn't really have any outs. Like, exactly what do you hope for right now as the Zerg player? Where do you go from here? You can't really go anywhere. You know you're going to be far behind with upgrades. So maybe you could go Hydras into Lurkers, but I think that's pretty much the only transition that makes sense. Because if you're going to go Ultras right now, the armor upgrade in the Evolution Chamber is just so freaking late. And it seems like ByuN has created a pretty nice hold on the mutas for now. Thor production has even begun. I love that. We can go Widow Mines as well. We can go, well, really whatever. All of those units are really quite strong against Mutalisks. And mutas are not ideal in a straight-up fight. So you can kind of see here Shin like flying around, soft containing the Terran on 3 bases. Like, I guess that's a pretty good choice for him. But it's not that long of a fly for this CC towards the 4th base spot. And I think that's exactly what ByuN is trying to aim for right now. Secure this base, and on 4, you can max out. Yeah, and Shin is just awkwardly flapping his units around a little bit. So maybe he wants to go into Ultras eventually, right? Like, that would be a logical transition. But in the previous games, we were already at Ultras this time around. And when we saw the Ultras dealing damage, it was before Terran was fully maxed out on upgrades themselves. This time around, if we do go Ultras, they're going to be fighting 3-3 Bio, and that's going to hurt very badly. Okay. In the meantime, though, Shin is taking up as many bases as he can. The entire left side of the map will indeed be his. Not easy for ByuN to really keep tabs on all of it, but ByuN has decided to, after being very aggressive throughout this series, to now be playing the exact polar opposite of Terran, and he decides to play now a very defensive approach instead. It's difficult for Terrans to shift, but ByuN is doing exactly that. Keep in mind, like a year ago, this is what ByuN played exclusively. Historically, I think ByuN has always been an aggressive Terran player, but about a year ago, he was doing pretty much all of this in turtle games all of the time. Ooh, big stim being used here. You hope that those units would be going off creep. Not quite the case. Difficult for ByuN to maneuver his way forward. I would love to see 3-3 start up. I think starting up 3-3 is absolutely critical. Ghost Academy does begin. Yep, there's the 3-3. Okay, good. Loads of missile turrets set up. Some SCVs to repair, and Marines as well set up in this position. The majority of the Terran army, though, is stepping onto creep, which is dangerous. You never know if there's going to be burrowed banelings there. Nice targeting, though, by ByuN, but there's really no way he's going to be able to target all of it. Leaves the Thor behind just to try and soak as much damage as possible, and then lifts it up to save it as well. This Thor has got 11 confirmed kills, and I think I saw like 7 banelings rolling into it. Nice control there by ByuN. Yeah, so it isn't even going to be Ultras. It feels horrible to me. It feels terrible. 4 command centers coming up. ByuN still has more money in the bank too at this point in time. Using those golden minerals very nicely and now denying the exact same site on the other side of the map. Yeah, it always feels like for Terran at this point, it's just a lot more linear. You know, like the steps are way easier. Whereas for Zerg, you look at this and you're like, well, I don't even really... Like, it feels to me, and I don't know what the outcome of this game is going to be, but it feels to me that Shin is losing. Even though he's got everything that he could ever want, I don't see what he can do if the opponent plays reasonably well to actually turn this into a victory. Like, it looks to me like this is pretty much already a done deal, despite the fact that he can build whatever he likes. I just feel like ByuN is in firm control of everything right now, even though, well, he's kind of stuck in his quarters now, but he is going to be able to slowly maneuver his way out of it. Slow push his way to a 5th, and that's exactly what he's doing right now. Keep on taking these cost-effective traits. Oh, well, don't. Oof, that was almost a disaster. But as long as he takes reasonable traits, he can keep on playing this exact style for a long time to come. Because he can face this Zerg player. Ultras are coming now, though. Maybe the Ultras can change the tide. Chitinous plating coming up. +3 armor, +3 melee, +2 air weapons too. So Shin does still have good upgrades. But we are now getting to that like late game stage. And I feel like this is one of the stages where Zerg in general struggles a little bit more, especially when you don't go for like that mass Nidus, mass lurker based army. Shin intercepts at least some of this low ground advancement, but I mean, he's not going to be able to keep it going for much longer. Does get a siege tank as well for his troubles. Loads of missile turrets over here. Yeah, he takes them out. New ones will be rebuilt. In the meantime, Shin has taken the base all the way in the far bottom left. He's even taken shop up over here on the Zelnaga healing shrine. Okay. Here we go. Shin decides to make a big move. It's fully off creep. It's Ultra Lingbane Muta. Is there enough for the Terran to push this back? He didn't even need most of the Widow Mines here and most of the Planetary Fortress either. Ay, ay, ay. Ghost production now has indeed properly started. We have high-sec auto-tracking, building armor. These are the two upgrades that make the Terran scale even more linearly towards the late game. Still though, Shin is going to be able to get up to those same upgrades that ByuN has had now for a little bit. So ByuN was faster on the 3-3. He obviously can't go to 4-4. 3-3 is the max for all players. And even though Shin was late on the upgrades initially, now he's going to be able to get there. Double starport production here for ByuN. The idea behind this, I'm assuming, is to go into Liberators. This is the opportunity, though, that Shin has. Like, before Terran is, like, on their fully maxed out state. The Terran army is going to get significantly better from here. The Zerg army, not so much. And this funnel over here, I don't think this is what you want to do, Shin, but I don't really see another option. Great micro there from ByuN. Getting extreme value. That was, I think, about the best fight you could take right there as ByuN. So that was Shin trying to make sure that this Terran would not be able to get to the ultimate late game army. 7 ghosts right now coming up. We should see, did we already have a fusion core? We don't yet have a fusion core as far as I can tell. I would love to see a fusion core right now with Liberator ranged. Get the Medevac energy regen buff as well. Like, this Zerg player is, like, it's max. This is it. It's not gonna get any better for Shin. ByuN is still improving his army for another 5 minutes or so. And that's why these type of games usually feel a little bit desperate to me, because I don't see where Zerg can take this right now. ByuN's fine. He's even making a command center on the other side of the mineral wall. Not sure exactly why, but I guess we can maybe mine out this base eventually. Fly out on over there. Yep, here's the Liberator production. Second armory comes up before fusion core. That's crazy. So Shin could make his army better by adding in like a Viper or maybe like adding in Infestors, but keep in mind that at this point Ghosts are already out and EMP will counter that reasonably well. Ultras though do get a jump right now on this base and maybe the Banelings can change the tide of battle. He rolls through, command center indeed does fall and so do 15 workers. There should be plenty of CCs nearby, though, to replace that command center as well. Because look at this, we already have quite a few command centers ready to go. And now he sees the Liberators as well. So Corruptors are being forced out. Now, Corruptors are going to be at +2/+1. So these are not fully unupgraded Corruptors. So at least that makes them much better than they would be. But notice the difference on the minimap compared to a few minutes ago, right? Like a few minutes ago, ByuN was kind of stuck on 4 bases and he had a hard time pushing forward. It's still not bad here for Shin. But Shin is being pushed further and further out. And ByuN is slowly gobbling up his entire side of the map. Shin actually struggling for resources. Shin's not even maxed out anymore. Here we go again, I think. Okay. Yeah, this is the resources lost right now, and that is why Shin doesn't have enough money. He can't really find good engagements here against a Terran player with the micro capabilities of ByuN. And that is, of course, where ByuN is well known, right? ByuN is well known for having phenomenal control and getting a ton of value out of his units. But let's not forget that ByuN is also a phenomenal macro player. He's not afraid to mix it up strategically. It's very difficult to beat ByuN in this matchup in general. He might not have, like, the speed of, like, for example, a Clem. Clem is certainly a faster Terran player. I highly doubt that Clem would not have noticed those Liberators taking a lot of damage there. 604 average actions per minute right now for Shin. ByuN at about 400. Okay. New command center taken. This base, by the way, in the far bottom left, Shin took this one like 4 minutes ago, and it's still here. ByuN has not seen it. It's been an easy pickoff for him. Shin has been able to get away with a full proxy base, and I think the sensor tower is gonna tell him what has been hiding in that bottom left-hand corner of the map all this time. Here we go again. Shin has opened the floodgates once more. He wants to push through, but I feel like every time he does this, it just becomes riskier and riskier, because this is a beautiful turtled up position for ByuN. No planetary fortress this time around, though, but some really nice splits here to mitigate some of the damage. Cloak gets activated because the overseers are gone. Now that is cheeky. There's a random command center here that used to be the front line of the Terran that does get denied. 9 SCVs full, but a pretty significant portion there of the Zerg army, the blue line over here, also did indeed dip down. Does he now see it? Brenda's making a run for it. Brenda has seen the sensor tower. She doesn't want to stay in the bottom left anymore. Run, Brenda, run! She's leaving her brood behind, man. Hashtag not my queen. Anyway, she's running away, leaving the drones. ByuN can easily kill it. And honestly, this might be Shin's saving grace. If he can get away with a fully mined, like unscouted base, that would be tremendous for him. Shin's forced to pull out all the tricks. But I wonder if it even matters, man. Like, I'm just looking at this game and I've just seen so many games similar to this. ByuN is not gonna let this one go. I don't believe it. He's so freaking good in these situations. Bring in now a bunch of Marines to the front as well. Missile turrets being made over at the gold base of the Zerg. Ultras are getting absolutely massacred, and GG gets cold. It is a 4-1 win here for ByuN in a best-of-7 series. Honestly, very well played right there by ByuN. A wide variety of strategies. Not playing the same build order a single time. Like twice. Like he basically played a new build every single game. And he showed that, like, not only strategically is he a monster, he's phenomenal at micro, phenomenal at macro. And I kind of feel like Shin is either playing somebody that's like one step ahead of him and he just can't really compete, or he's just not picking the right strategies here. Like, I kind of... I don't know, it feels like his entire strategy relies on him crossing his fingers and getting the lucky fungal growth. And when your entire strategy relies on your opponent being effectively bad at the game, which is kind of what we saw, I guess, in one of the matches, right? Like the previous one before the last one, where some really big fungals did hit on Maganatha. Yeah, in that particular instance, the strategy works like a charm, but if ByuN plays well, I don't think he can make that strat viable.